Feeling quite empty today, which is a good feeling every now and again. But I read something yesterday, a Native American quote in quotations. One never knows if they're real, but a quote I would agree with intuitively. John Trudell, son of a Santee Dakota, so therefore himself at least half Dakota, wrote, quote, "All human beings are descendants of tribal people who were spiritually alive, intimately in love with the natural world, children of Mother Earth. When we were tribal people, we knew who we were, we knew where we were, and we knew our purpose. This sacred perception of reality remains alive and well in our genetic memory. We carry it inside of us, as usually in a dusty box in the mind's attic, but it is accessible," end quote. The relationship between humanity and its most profound selves is found in the inevitable evolution that was tribal. I suppose it was almost immediate. It must have been after, as evolution developed, as the human being developed, walked on 2 feet with opposable thumbs and big brains and stuff, and is available in the mind's attic to us all. Why all? Because all of us, European, Asian, African American, have hunter-gathering tribes in our ancestry, hunter-gathering cultures in our ancestry, in our mind's attic of our collective unconscious, to use a term. The move to where we are today required a lot of rethinking, adjusting to adjustable realities, and almost the intervention of a power attendant naturally on agriculture and its land ownership. The great rituals and religions that have reordered the species and the world we exploit for our sustenance and other needs hierarchically. Our great fear of and aspiration to overcome death has brought us a dominant religion that promises heaven if we obey commandments in a book written by men, possibly passed on from God. Christianity is no more than this, a model of a control mechanism like no other, placing us each on our rung. Quote, "There will be poor always," quote, "the meek shall inherit," invented really extraordinary rights and values by which we can be measured by a male God and his minions. We have come to this. My tribal memory is in the attic. I am new to it, I dream it and unstudied it, but at the moment I can at least admire it. My little forays have revealed resources denied me in our world, which encounters the landscape beyond the wall as cuteness, beautiful, Disney, with pity at its destruction, genocide, and present dormancy. But I admire it. The mass of its varieties still available to me in the attic, even as a European. The culture that eradicated it most completely ignored all its wisdoms and replaced them with the barbarisms that make Gaza and the Holocaust commonplace. "When we were a tribal people, we knew who we were," is the quote. If nothing else, there is that. The ills of the day might be easily lumped into identity crises. The need, I'd advise, of roaring Englishmen that they are Christian and so belong in England and the rest should be excluded, should be shown the ferry back to Germany and leave the Picts alone. The land belongs to the Picts and the Scotii, if that's your stupid argument. The rest of us, white America, are nomads who should define ourselves otherwise. Walking out of Africa, there was always a first person to set foot, wanderers who made accommodation with the first foot setters, an adult process much more effective than mythologizing the God who promised the land that you did not set foot on, the myth that beats all the rest in toxicity. It demands a very basic concept of commonality, this nomadism. No monotheism's hubris of being the one the only. The European aspiration to be hobbit in Shire, seeking sadly and hungrily for a homeland where all will at last be well. A utopia, the Nazi dream. The collectivism of the hunter-gatherer/herder is the most enhanced life possible. I only use the terms like most because the terms of my culture are extremes. The greatest, the most advanced, the best, the highest, the freest, etc. It is how we speak and think. It is possible to imagine the ancient past the way Hollywood and modern Western civilized scholarship has, as dirty, dingy, and dictatorial, or the cute version of higher powerism and powwows. The only reason to not dig deeper into human behavior as it developed before the date usual, a few hundred years before Christ, to incorporate the bits we want to claim as ancestry, Greece, Egypt, Israel, etc., will be that we don't do well by comparison. Our modern life of gasoline and iPhones, monotheisms, nuclear weapons, and global warming must be invented by the writers of things to look worthwhile. I heard about a philosopher of the Soviet world, Alexander Zinoviev, who claimed what we all seem to know, that the average elected European leader today is not very bright. And I don't think this is because we are becoming less intelligent altogether, but that the job description of the modern leader doesn't prioritize any kind of intuitive intelligence. It prioritizes that he, usually, now she, represents us. And there's the rub. Cunning, perhaps. One day we will admit that our overrated Western universities help this dumbing down. The grades, the sciences, the values reflected in the highly educated person, I am sure, are as high as they have ever been. But these standards had never been applicable to real existence, only to the fantasy modern Western world. Universities rooted in monasteries have promoted a sort of elite fantasy since the beginning, and this fantasy has become a reality for the ruling class. The class itself absorbs not very much of what classical education might offer, but university is where the rulers find their stenographers, to pinch from Noam Chomsky. I've been a student of William Shakespeare in the practical way. I acted and directed the play since I was about 29. He was a propagandist, first, like all the stenographers, but I think he was the rare genius who could also be subversive or write material that subversive people could understand and speak, using, for example, his great history plays, including the Roman plays, that might allow us, were we willing, to explore the unheroic hero. We don't. We impose heroes. Brutus is a bloody hero. Hamlet's a hero. Macbeth is, in fact, a hero. Heroes are Western necessities. The little things I understand about tribalism as a way of life, bound to the earth and its magnificent powers, in harmony with, not exploiting of. The small evidence we have, after sifting through the analyses that promote this and denigrate that, remain rooted despite all the butcherings of the jealous god. Behind every Caesar there were 100 great sergeants at arms. Some old man or woman will shake their shaggy locks on YouTube and say, "We have lost our spirituality." Yep. We dispensed with it as soon as we could. AI is the metaphor. It is hysterically mediocre, but I've had to make my way with the generation that invented it. God help us. On their own, imagine. I don't need to reject the invention. Its inventors are welcome to it. Crazy Horse had one request, a last buffalo hunt, before the Lakota would go on to the reservations, before the imposition of farming and the ways of the white man.